What is the thermoforming capital of the world? C+K Plastics. We have 3 locations up and down the East Coast: New Jersey, North Carolina, and Georgia. Thermoforming is a very economical process. Tooling for vacuum forming or pressure forming is much cheaper than other processes. Here at C+K, we can make very large parts. This is a pretty good sized part, but we can make a 14-foot part if you need it. Thermoforming is the process of forming a plastic sheet into a 3-dimensional shape using heat and vacuum as the process. It's formed either over a mold or into a mold. This is a 12-foot ABS drain pan. And these are used on refrigerated display cases. This replaced sheet metal pans that rusted, corroded, and they also weren't NSF compliant. It's guaranteed not to leak because it's one solid piece. This is a rotary thermoforming machine. We're starting with a single sheet of plastic like you see here. We're going to load it on the loader. It's going to move up and it's going to cycle around into the oven, and then it's going to cycle into the forming station. This plastic is heated up to over 220 degrees. Here we are. It has just formed the part. It's getting ready to move around and be unloaded, and we'll load a new part. Here, this is a formed part coming around here. It's going to come down, and we have a finished part. This is a tray for a heating and air conditioning unit. We can thermoform such a larger part. If this part was injection molded, it would have to be a multi-gated tool and would cost $300,000 or $400,000. This plastic has very low stress in it when it's extruded. It's never turned into a liquid. When you injection mold or when you rotomold, you melt the plastic to a near liquid state. This is like a pancake batter when it comes out as a sheet. We never heat this up past the deflection temperature. That keeps the stress out of these parts. What's the difference between a plastic cup and what we do? We're making products that last. They're making disposable products. All of the plastic is recyclable. Nothing goes to waste. Everything goes back into this scrap bin and goes back to the extruder to be converted back into sheet plastic for our process. The products you see here won't end up in the ocean. The one thing I can tell you, no turtles were hurt making this video. This is a very necessary part of the project. We take it from the forming like we did over here to this point, and we actually finish the part right here. This one part, we may have 5 or 6 variations of this part. In injection molding, you would have to have different molds. If rotomolding, you would have to have different tools. But the good news in all of this is the tooling for vacuum forming or pressure forming is much cheaper than other processes. Typically 10% of the cost of an injection mold to make a comparable part. This part is made out of ABS. This is a medical cart top pulled into a female or a pressure forming mold. We take a single sheet of material and we pull it into a tool. So this is your tool surface. We have the texture, we have the detail, and then these pockets are smooth. There is no texture in these pockets. This is a glove box for a truck. This goes in like that, so you want your detail here on the inside of this part. The outside doesn't look bad, but this is the non-tool surface of the part. This is an example of the secondary process we do. This is a sheet metal part that we have made. It's been stamped and then powder coated, and we're going to assemble this into one of our plastic assemblies. There's a vast number of products that can be made from thermoforming. Everything from heating and air conditioning drain pans to the fronts of ice machines to parts on trucks and buses and cars. We also get the question, what kind of tolerances can we hold in vacuum forming? Typically we can form 10 to 30 thousandths tolerances, and when we go to the CNC machine we can run much higher tolerances. Then the question comes up is how thick can we thermoform a part? We go at C+K to 3/4 of an inch, 750 thousandths. At C+K the process is simple. We mold it, we cut it, and then we ship it.